Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read it for your pleasure. This particular story is called MilSim with Humans, written by FarmWitch4275. We stand on the precipice of a grand triumph, a triumph for the ages, both in technology and military strategy. We shall not hold it against the humans for this opportunity, and we shall, regardless of the outcome, treasure our friendship with them. Make no mistake, allies or not, friends or not, we shall wage this war with our full tenacity and strength as we would any other against any other opponent. The entire galaxy is watching us this day. We shall conduct ourselves with decorum and clarity as would any other situation. My brothers, to victory for the Imperium. The company commander's speech roused my countrymen to a beautiful roar as I watched from my campsite. Speeches and commencement dialogues allowed us to use the flat terrain of this strange land with ease. A vast army of 700 of my countrymen with full military equipment was arrayed in front of me. I could not help but beam with pride at the sight. Well, if only they knew what they were getting themselves into. Perfect regiments of our finest infantrymen standing in salute of our Grand Admiral. I heard a beep, then a holographic sign appeared in the sky. Team Alpha equals Civilian ready. Team Bravo equals Radian ready. Team Charlie equals NATO/CSAT ready. AI is now enabled. Mission start. A screen suddenly appeared in front of us all, and a logo of a corporation known as Bohemia Interactive appeared in front of all of our eyes, followed by the loud thundering of intro music and a screen that displayed the logo of a game, Armor 6 Absolution, Antistasy. My countrymen's objective was to go through terrain owned by the faction of hive-minded insectoids from an extinct era known as the Minded Syndicate and liberate towns and bases from them. A victory is achieved when either side controls all points of interest. There would be a grave period of a few hours, allowing each side to seize land before there can be any direct combat between them. I would be happy about this, if my countrymen weren't about to get curb-stomped into oblivion by the most terrifying military force in the galaxy. I used my tablet device to watch the opening ceremony from the hilltop and waited for my Earth comrades to finish gearing up. I had my own gear ready, my traditional garb of an infantryman, only dyed blue and grey to match the faction colors. Instead of my usual laser rifle, I carried a human weapon, an M41A1 assault carbine, a more modern variant of the old-school M4 rifle. My comrades were similarly armed, carrying simple carbines, limited personnel armor, a backpack, and a few mags of ammunition. A human calling himself Dr. Plague approached and handed me a small fueled backpack full of demolition supplies. Here you go, dude. C4, a satchel charge, 2 bouncing betties, and a few Wily Pete grenades. Thank you, Plague. I must say that I am conflicted as to this scenario, I said as I stood up and put my backpack on, towering over my fellow human by 2 feet. Why's that? It can't possibly be that bad. You guys rule half the galaxy after all. He looked at me with a crooked grin. Using tactics that haven't changed in a little over 6,000 years, I have a feeling that they'll get one hell of a wake-up call from this fight. They have no idea how humanity fights war. I moved over to one of the civilian vehicles the logistics team had already acquired from this area. They can't be worse than us, I heard another voice speak. This was one guy going by the name of Badger. 6,000 years isn't nothing to sneeze at, so obviously they have something going for them. It is 6,000 years of 200 species facing roughly the same system of honor, duty, and might. They haven't seen what I've spent the better part of the last 5 years witnessing with all of you guys. This moment is bittersweet. I climbed onto the back of a pickup and sat on the roof. A very British accent suddenly yelled up from the noise. All right, lads, objectives are simple. Same campaign as always, with PvP twist at the end. Logistics team will carry on gearing up and securing vehicles. 4 teams in all. We are 50. They are 700. We know what we got ourselves into. Team Alpha, outposts. Team Bravo, supplies and rescue. Team Charlie, heists and patrols. Everyone else, have fun. Our CEO, Wayman, spoke. Hoorah! Came the enthusiastic reply. With that, my squad of 6 was off. Within 2 hours, we had come across 7 patrols. Enemy AI in this simulation was a mismatch of old enemies we eradicated some millennia ago, an insectoid species with acid cannons and other weapons. They were dispatched with ease, far greater ease than my comrades ever managed, and quickly we seized 12 outposts in the first few hours. The squad consisted of 2 riflemen, myself and Plague, with Badger being our heavy gunner and AT, Alexivi being our medic, Rockman and Salter Dude being our sniper team. Yes, I am aware the names are peculiar. Those are not actual names of humans, just pseudonyms and cool tags, just because it's a thing that's part of the human internet. Mine is Jax, for reference. As we were securing an outpost, looting a weapons crate, we got a broadcast. All units, this is God. We have confirmed sightings of Imperium forces approaching Pyrgos seaport. They are engaged with syndicate targets. A scout sniper team had found my countrymen and were now watching. I fully was expecting them to start laughing. I carried out my objectives, planting an explosive near a fuel dump owned by the enemy, and hopped back into the pickup, heading towards our next objective. God, this is Echo Squad. Any intel? I asked. I'm not sure. Battle is going. Syndicate and Empire are taking heavy casualties. We haven't been spotted, but, hold on a minute. Here we go, I said with a heavy sigh. Jax, this is God. Please tell me that your people don't still fight with musket lines and swords. Coles, that's the shit I'm seeing. Yes, we still do fight with musket lines and cavalry charges. Yes, we do engage our enemies in close combat when our rifles run dry. Yes, we don't use tanks or armor, or even close air support. Now, do you understand why I limited our sides numbers to 50? If we had any more than that, it wouldn't have been fair, I explained, sighing heavily as we did a drive-by on a resource point. Well, what the hell are we supposed to do then? I mean, the hell? We fight the same way we always do, you pansy-ass bastards, Wayman said over the radio. We fight to win. That's how we war. We operate under the law of engagement. Don't shoot medics, don't kill prisoners, and don't shoot civilians. And then, when the press are not looking, we use the Flammenwaffe, yeah? A very bad German accent interrupted, followed by a gale of laughter. An hour later, the safety barrier was about to come down, and the central airfield of Telos. Up until this point, NATO, that's us, had taken everything up to this point, from Kavala to Galati, and were readying the full armored column. We had several tanks, 3 APCs, and a single angry Irish guy in a gunship. We decided to go old school and give the Imperium a chance. 2 Patton M60A3 tanks, 5 Abrams tanks, 2 Striker MG APCs, and a Humvee with a grenade launcher. Our air support was in the form of a Super Hind gunship. Half of our troops took up the driver's seat of these vehicles, while the rest of us took civilian vehicles or went on foot to act as snipers or infantry. My countrymen had no damned idea what kind of hell was waiting for them. I was now genuinely concerned for the future of our friendship. What would the Council's response be to this battle? All I could do was hope and pray they wouldn't declare war. The casualties would be embarrassing. The timer finally ran out, and the thunderous roar of the armored column shattered the peace of the area. Engines and smoke blasted through the calm daylight breeze as the human military machines charged through the open countryside and towards the gathering army of 700 men. 700 men armed with laser equivalents of muskets and blunderbusses. The Imperial army arrived outside the city of Telos via the town of Kalira to the east. The armored column hit them from the open fields to the north. The tanks stopped about 3 kilometers short of the army, neatly assembled in lines of men ready to engage as they marched towards the airfield. That army was 500 strong. The tanks lifted their cannons and fired heat rounds into the assembled soldiers. 100 men were cut down in the first volley, then 60 more as the next volley of shells was fired. Panicked Imperial forces were routed almost immediately and scattered in all directions. Mortar fire followed, killing the 70 or so men that took refuge in the town of Kalira, leveling the small town. The armored column began to drive again, and within minutes, their weapons began to relentlessly tear through the assembled forces, wiping out a further 100. The rest of the army was obliterated in the following airstrike, as excitable expletives and creative curse words in Gaelic and English raged through the comms. 500 men, all wiped out in the space of less than 20 minutes. We were ordered to advance and finish the job, only for the advancing infantry to discover that everyone was killed. 20 towns were captured in quick succession, forcing us to fall back to early conquest due to logistics such as ammo and fuel. The Imperial army was in complete disarray. Although everyone had respawned safe and sound, most, if not all, were terrified and refused to join the fight. They had little time to organize, so Admiralty laid charges of treason on those who refused. That rallied everyone pretty quick, but the efforts were for nothing. Just as the Imperial army successfully returned to formation, a mass panic gripped them as an angry Irish gunship flew over them, pelting the assault lines with rocket pods and cannons. Another round followed, and even the Admiralty joined in the not-so-quite strategic retreat. Another 700 men put in wait queue as the armored column rejoined the fight and wiped the floor with the Empire's men. The Admiralty realized the futility of the fight and immediately surrendered in order to save their fragile egos and stop their men from mass suicide. Such was the fateful tale of the Human versus Galactic Empire anti-Stasi event, the first and only surrender in the Empire's history. It was all just a simulation, a joint war simulation to test what humanity was capable of. It was a simple, easy, and cheap way to test newcomers to the galactic stage. It was an effective tool to test combat prowess, honor, strength, and mettle in battle, and give the Imperium an easy way to look at the species' strengths. The entire Admiralty Board was now on their knees, begging the Imperium to sign permanent peace treaties with the Terran Federation. Some were even considering assassination of members who refused. The video recording of that simulation was now going viral in every corner of the galaxy, now terrified at humanity's capabilities. The Imperium were both shocked and humiliated at the resounding loss they suffered. Humans through the entire campaign lost only around 70 men. The Imperium lost nearly 2,000, all to machinery and technology that was beyond 200 years old to boot. The incident now, as a formerly obscure species, once barely a curiosity, now open to full scrutiny amongst the galactic community. Archives of previous human conflicts began to leak to the public, terrifying entire swaths of sentient life. Human history slowly laid itself bare to an audience that was rapidly beginning to count humanity as less a sapient life form and more of an eldritch horror. Suddenly, everything we knew about humanity's wars with the Garrux, Tyrannus, and Korodakan empires were over so fast. Suddenly, we started to understand how the Aldrisian swarms were so rapidly eradicated. Suddenly, we knew why the immutable Matrix AI swarm was so easily put to the sword. Suddenly, it all made sense. Within months of the first simulation, the Imperium decided on surrender. End of story.